Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is the 1st November 2016. So already we know certain things over here. India is supposed to be a net security provider in the Indian Ocean region. India's increasing technological capabilities, rise in economic power, and its access to capital makes it or keeps it well positioned to be a net security provider in this region. So, in this context, in the Shangri La Dialogue 2009, Mr. Robert Gates has clearly stated that US expects India to be a net security provider in Indian Ocean and beyond. The same was reiterated by the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh while opening the Indian Defence University in Haryana in 2013. So, this article fits into that particular dialogue. Can India be a net security provider in the region? And again, as China is taking more infrastructure projects in Maldives, then thus India assured Maldives that India can be a net security provider in the Indian Ocean region. It need not look towards China. So, in that perspective, let us see this particular article with India and Afghanistan relations. Afghanistan and stability of the Afghanistan is very much necessary for the regional stability. And Pakistan sees the Afghanistan as its sphere of influence. And politics in the Afghanistan has clearly changed once the Ashraf Ghani has become the president. Initially, he had leaned towards Pakistan and relied on the Pakistan to bring Taliban for talks. And a quadrilateral consultation group is also formed for the same. And India is being kept away from all these developments. And second is, India's strategy or India's argument is that terrorism is terrorism and there is no good terrorist and a bad terrorist. And it was opposed to the dialogue with Taliban. And the second thing is, US also initially did not incline India's participation or intervention in Afghanistan. So it's been clearly said that though India's investments can help the development in Afghanistan, it may keep Pakistan away, it may vary or worry the Pakistan, which is not good for the fight against terrorism. That was the American position. But of late, this position has dramatically changed. The reason being the failure of Pakistan to bring the Taliban to talks, and it has changed the Ashraf Ghani and his attitude towards the Pakistan. That is the first thing. And the second is, America also has started welcoming India's role in Afghanistan. India recently supplied Mi-25 helicopters to Afghanistan, and more artillery, light weapons, etc. are bound to move towards Afghanistan, including tanks. And American commander there, Mr. Nicholson, has clearly stated that we expect more from India. That shows the change in the attitude of United States and Afghanistan towards India's support to Afghanistan. So, is India growing as a net security provider? One way it can be said as yes. If you talk about Indian Ocean Naval Symposium, which India has conducted or spearheaded, all the 37 littoral states of the Indian Ocean are the members to it. And India is also supplying radars, equipments to every country surrounding the Indian Ocean. And if you talk about Vietnam, in these countries also India is supplying the BrahMos missiles. So India is more becoming a net security provider, but the major challenge is coming from China, where it is trying to make its inroads into Indian Ocean. For India, anti-piracy operations and securing the sea lanes are very critical, as 40% of the India's GDP is coming from trade now. So, the securing of the sea lanes is very critical from its economic perspective. So, in this context, what we can say is building the Afghanistan forces is India's interest, long-term interest. And at the same time, if India wants to be a net security provider in the region, it has to have a critical military intelligence and military defense capabilities. But India, without having domestic military industry complex, sustaining its position as the net security provider becomes difficult. So this is what is the India's article is. Now coming to caught in the crossfire. Now in 2003, a ceasefire agreement is signed between India and Pakistan. But since then, the violations of the ceasefire agreement are very minimal. But after the Uri attack, followed by surgical strikes of India, the ceasefire violations are clearly visible. And because of this, India is getting worst affected, especially the border villages in India are getting worst affected, as Indian border side is more populated compared to the Pakistan side. So, another worrisome point is Indian political leadership is nowhere interested to engage with Pakistan on this particular ceasefire violations. So, it is the time Indian political leadership shall engage with Pakistan according to this article. Now, coming to the case against a uniform asylum law. Now, what the author argues over here is the UN Convention on Refugees, it do not cover clearly asylum seekers. Refugees and asylum seekers are different from each other. The refugee is one who is facing a retribution from a government or a state on political or social or racial grounds. But as an asylum seeker, there is no defined characteristics to him. Or any refugee can be an asylum seeker, but all the asylum seekers cannot be refugees. So there are many laws. For example, African Refugees Act is much wider, which tries to bring in the people from mass displacement related to violence also as refugees, which the European Union do not accept. And European Union calls these people who are displaced as the asylum seekers. So asylum as a word is more used for political reasons. It means that most of the countries keep the definition of asylum undefined to have their political outreach. So India can have a law for its refugees, but however, the word asylum is better if it is left undefined for. So that is the essence of the article. So let's leave the asylum undefined. It means that there will be a political choice to make the decisions based on the circumstances of the day to whom asylum has to be provided in the country. Coming to the main page, ease of doing business. Now, ease of doing business is, a World Bank ranking based on the governance parameters guiding the trade and business in the country. In this case, the states are also been ranked on the ease of doing business. India, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, both the states ranked at the top level, and the Gujarat slipped to the third level. There is an important observation over here. The four of the low income states, they ranked in the top 10 ranks, such as Chhattisgarh, UP, all these are. And the next is, the World Bank is also going to come up with ease of living ranks for the cities. As of now, ease of doing business ranks for countries is done on a very limited data. In India, the data from Delhi and Mumbai is taken up to frame the ease of doing business index. So in this context, to provide for a wider criteria and a broader understanding of ease of doing business, so World Bank is also coming up with ease of living index, and it's bound to improve the India's ranking with the smart cities mission, etc. Now added to that, the corruption. Here, just remember one thing. UK Serious Frauds Office. So it is for the economic crimes in the United Kingdom. So India do not have any serious frauds investigation office, and second ARC has recommended for the same. And UK Bribery Act also covers the private sector corruption abroad. It means any UK company, if it is involved with offering bribe abroad to gain the contracts or business, it is a punishable offense in UK. But in India, our India's Prevention of Corruption Act do not cover the private sector corruption, and second is, it do not cover the Indian companies' overseas corruption. So that is the difference between these two. So, as UK companies are involved in gaining the defense contracts from India and their shady dealings, they are under the investigation from Serious Frauds Investigation Office in UK. So these are the articles for today, and thank you very much and all the best.